The late summer heat of Amman pressed heavy on the streets. The city was alive with its usual rhythm, traffic honking, vendors shouting, children darting between shops. To the casual eye, it was just another ordinary day in Jordan's bustling capital. But hidden in plain sight in the narrow lanes near the Hamas offices, two men lurked in the crowd with a mission so secret even their families didn't know they had left Israel. Their task was as simple as it was sinister. Deliver a single, invisible drop of poison to one man's skin and vanish without a trace. That man was Khaled Mashel, a rising leader of Hamas, the voice of defiance against Israel, and a symbol of resistance whose speeches ignited the streets of Gaza. Mossad had marked him for death. The plan was supposed to be elegant, undetectable, the kind of operation that would be filed away as a success in Israel's shadowy archives. Yet, as one of the agents reached out, pretending to stumble, his hand brushed Mashel's ear for just a fraction of a second. The poison made contact, but in that same moment, something unexpected happened. Mashel spun around. His bodyguards noticed the strangers. A chase broke out through the streets of Amman, and in a matter of minutes, what was supposed to be one of Mossad's cleanest assassinations turned into one of its most humiliating disasters. Before I tell you exactly how this mission unraveled, let me ask you, where are you watching this from? And what time is it there? I love knowing how far these files travel across the world. And if you're hooked already, if stories of failed spy missions like this keep you on the edge of your seat, then hit subscribe right now. Because in this channel, Spy Tech Files, you'll get access to classified failures that intelligence agencies would rather bury forever. Now, let's rewind just a little. To understand why Mossad risked everything on the streets of Jordan, you have to understand the storm building in the region. Only 3 years earlier, Israel and Jordan had signed a peace treaty in 1994, ending decades of hostility. This peace was a strategic breakthrough for Israel, create a buffer against instability. But peace on paper didn't erase the anger simmering in the streets. Khaled Mashel was at the center of this storm. Charismatic, sharp-tongued, and uncompromising, he was becoming a symbol. His words carried weight far beyond Gaza. For Israel, Mashel represented a threat that couldn't be ignored. But why poison? Mossad had a history of using silent, undetectable methods. A bullet would be too loud, too obvious, impossible to deny. A car bomb in Amman could jeopardize the fragile peace with Jordan. Poison, on the other hand, was discreet. It left little trace, no gunshot, no explosion, just a man falling ill, fading away. The Israelis believed it was the perfect weapon. The team dispatched to Amman was small, chosen for their precision. Their cover identities were carefully prepared. Days of surveillance led them to the Hamas office. The plan was elegant. Strike during the rush of morning traffic, when chaos in the streets could cover their escape. One man would distract, another would deliver the poison. Within hours, Mashel would collapse. The weapon itself was a masterpiece of clandestine engineering, a highly refined, almost odorless chemical agent, likely a fentanyl derivative or a similar opioid-based toxin. It was designed to enter the bloodstream through the skin with minimal contact and mimic natural death. The delivery device was ingeniously disguised, reportedly a syringe-like mechanism built into a seemingly ordinary object, allowing the agent to brush the target's ear and release a single, fatal droplet. This reliance on a quiet chemical agent is a direct echo of Cold War tradecraft, where the world's spy agencies developed exotic methods to kill targets without leaving fingerprints. Think back to the Cold War, the golden age of intelligence technology. While Mossad was perfecting its silent killers, the CIA and the KGB were engaged in their own terrifying technological arms race. The KGB, for instance, famously used the Bulgarian Umbrella to assassinate dissident Georgy Markov in London in 1978. That weapon wasn't a chemical, but a tiny ricin pellet, injected with a spring-loaded mechanism built into the tip of an umbrella. It's a gruesome, low-tech precursor to the Amman attack, showcasing the persistent intelligence mindset. Eliminate the target quietly, with absolute deniability. This is where we dive into the declassified history of silent weapons. During the 1960 seconds, the CIA was experimenting with its own arsenal of exotic assassination tools. One particularly chilling file described a small, specially modified handgun that fired a dart of shellfish toxin. The dart would leave a tiny, almost invisible red pinprick, and the victim would die of a heart attack within moments, leaving behind no trace of poison discoverable by a standard autopsy. The ultimate silent killer. These technologies, the ricin pellet, the chemical spray, the toxin dart, were designed by a class of intelligence engineers who lived in the shadows, constantly trying to find the point where technology meets untraceable death. The failure in Amman, however, proved that even the most elegant tech can't overcome human error. As the agent brushed Mashel's ear, the target noticed, his guards noticed, and, in the split second of recognition, everything began to unravel. The chase that followed wasn't in Mossad's playbook. Amman wasn't Tel Aviv. The agents didn't control the ground. Within moments, Jordanian authorities were alerted. The Mossad operatives were captured, their cover identities blown wide open. And Mashel? He wasn't dead. Not yet. This was no longer a secret operation. It was a full-blown international crisis. Back in Israel, our panic spread. The agents weren't just operatives, they were evidence. Evidence that Israel had violated Jordanian sovereignty. King Hussein, furious at the betrayal, demanded answers. And most critically, Khaled Mashel's life hung in the balance, his health deteriorating rapidly. This is where the story pivots from a failed assassination attempt to a terrifying game of political blackmail. The poison was supposed to be a ghost, but now the dying Mashel was a hostage. King Hussein's message to Israel was clear, and it was delivered via the American president. Unless Israel handed over the antidote to save Khaled Mashel's life, the captured Mossad agents would be tried and executed. More than that, Jordan would tear up the peace treaty. In Tel Aviv, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu faced a brutal choice. To hand over the antidote was to admit guilt. To reveal that Israel had indeed tried to assassinate Mashel. To refuse was to risk losing Jordan, seeing Mossad agents executed, and igniting an Arab world already burning with rage. Israel relented. A top medical team was flown secretly into Amman, carrying the antidote. The same state that had tried to silently erase Mashel was now forced to save his life. The sheer humiliation of this moment is captured in the declassified history of diplomatic exchanges from that time. The Israelis were forced to beg the Americans to intervene, leveraging their relationship to save their own agents from a firing squad. Against all odds, Mashel survived. When news of his recovery spread, the Arab world erupted in celebration. Mashel was now a living legend, the man who had faced Mossad's poison and survived. In trying to silence him, Israel had only amplified his voice. The full cost to Israel was staggering. The captured agents were returned only after Israel agreed to release prisoners, including the most famous of them all, Sheikh Ahmed Yassin, Hamas's spiritual leader. The failed assassination had done what decades of speeches and resistance could not. It elevated Mashel into a legend, brought back a founding father of Hamas, and shattered the myth of Mossad's infallibility. The true lesson of the Amman mission is one we must never forget, that even in the most sophisticated operations, technological brilliance cannot guard against the catastrophic fallout of political miscalculation. This entire incident is a textbook case in the declassified history of intelligence overreach. The Amman disaster represents the end of one era of intelligence and the beginning of another. The tools of the trade have changed, but the mindset is identical. The poison dropped on Mashel's ear was a physical attack designed for silent elimination. Today, the modern equivalent is malware and zero-day exploits. We've moved from the Bulgarian Umbrella to the digital umbrella. The stealthy Mossad agent with the hidden device has been replaced by the quiet and anonymous cyber operative. They don't need to blend into a crowd in Amman. They just need to find a single, invisible weakness in a network firewall. The goal is still silent. Untraceable infiltration or elimination, but the tools are now software. The toxin, not a chemical, but sophisticated ransomware or a data-destroying worm. The delivery device, not a tiny mechanism in a coat, but a phishing email disguised as a note from your bank or a firmware update from a trusted vendor. The target, not just a Hamas leader, but the entire infrastructure of a nation, a major corporation, or your personal bank account. The old spy adage was, control everything or control nothing. The modern one is, patch everything or lose everything. This shift from physical to digital means that the average person is no longer just a bystander. You are now a potential battlefield. Your phone, your laptop, your smart home, these are the new safe houses and the new targets. The failure of Mossad in Amman offers a critical lesson for us all. Vulnerability is not a matter of if, but when. In the digital age, you need to think like a counterintelligence officer protecting your own personal data. Here is your essential guide to fighting back against the modern cyber spy. Assume compromise, the zero-trust mindset. Never automatically trust an email, a link, or a request for information, no matter how legitimate it looks. This is the social engineering phase of the attack. Ask yourself, is my bank really going to send a password reset link at 3 a.m.? If the Mossad agents were willing to fake a stumble, cybercriminals are willing to fake a financial emergency. Master the cipher. Multi-factor authentication. Your password is the single lock on the door. MFA is the second lock, the digital deadbolt. Use it everywhere. Even if a spy gets your password, they can't get past the code sent to your physical phone. This is your strongest line of defense. Keep your own antidote ready. Backups. The chemical antidote saved Mashel's life. Your encrypted, disconnected backup is your antidote to ransomware. If a hacker poisons your files, you can wipe your system clean and restore your life from the backup. Without this, you are completely at the mercy of the attacker. The surveillance check, device security. Just as the Mossad agents followed Mashel's routine, digital spies track your online movements. Keep all your operating systems, browsers, and applications fully updated. These updates often contain patches for the very weaknesses that spies and criminals are looking to exploit. The technology of spying will always evolve, but the core principle remains. The quiet attack is the most dangerous. Whether it's a silent drop of poison on a street in Amman, or a silent line of code in your network, vigilance is the only shield. The streets of Amman eventually quieted. The headlines faded. The captured Mossad agents were sent back to Israel under the weight of a humiliating deal. But the story of the poison plot refused to die. It was not just a failure of tactics, but of strategy, judgment, and foresight. It reminded the world that intelligence agencies, for all their secrecy and swagger, are vulnerable to the same flaws as any human institution: overconfidence, miscalculation, and hubris. The invisible poison failed to eliminate its target, but it created a legend in the process and shattered the myth of invincibility. Khaled Mashel emerged from the ordeal, not weakened, but transformed. His survival gave him an aura that no propaganda campaign could manufacture. His life became a parable, a lesson in power, pride, and consequence. If Mossad, one of the world's most feared intelligence agencies, could stumble so spectacularly, what about the others? What other secret missions, buried deep in locked vaults, ended not in triumph, but in disaster? If you thought this mission was wild, wait until you hear about the next failure. Subscribe to Spy Tech Files now so you don't miss the next declassified disaster. Because in the world of spies, it's not the victories that shape history, it's the failures